Well, we're going through a number of these races, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very important. If we want to hold the House and pick up a greater number and take the Senate and win the presidency, and we need to do all three of those things. One of our good friends is Claudia Tenney in New York's 24th Congressional District, where they really did try and steal that seat from her, given the judge and given the challenges. The slip-and-fall lawyer, Mark Elias. Claudia, how are you, and how is it looking right now in the 24th Congressional District in New York?
Well, that's great that you call him a slip and fall. I think he's worse. I think he is a sleazy vote trafficking lawyer, but he's still out there working for Democrat causes, so things are looking good. We are working really hard. We're doing phone banking. We're going door to door. We're doing exactly what we did in 2022, where we actually improved so much over our 2020 election. We have a little bit different district, a very large district in New York. But look, what I'm doing is a little different than what most Republicans are doing. I started the Election Integrity Caucus after 2020. I said, Republicans, you've got to go out and go to the people who you think aren't going to vote. Focus on them first, then go to your reliable 4-for-4 primary voters, people you know are going to vote. We've got to get people. It's going to be a numbers game. It's going to be addition. We may not be able to flip some people from blue to red, but we may get new voters, and that's where I think the secret is. I think that's what we're trying to do in Pennsylvania, a must-win state also for President Trump.
Your district is massive, isn't it? I mean, it's bigger than a lot of states. Tell people, some of the towns in that district.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's an absolutely spectacular district. It starts north in the St. Lawrence Seaway on Lake Ontario, the easternmost Great Lake, winds all the way around the entire lake shore of Lake Ontario, all the way to the Niagara River, right by Niagara Falls, all the Finger Lakes, beautiful part of central New York, historic area. I mean, the Erie Canal goes through my district, famous towns in that area. Frederick Douglass, famous abolitionist, actually wrote his North Star and was funded by people in my region. Harriet Tubman's house is up in my region. Wow. Susan B. Anthony, all the suffragettes are all hailing from my region. So it's an amazingly historic place for Republicans who gave us the right to vote as women, who helped free the slaves. So we got to go back to the roots and the greatness of the Republican Party that we knew then when we were founded by Lincoln in the modern era. It's really an incredible district. Number one agricultural district in the Northeast, number one dairy district, the largest apple producing county in the Northeast.
Excuse me, I'm lactose intolerant. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, that's okay. We have alternatives.
You do. I mean, we have all kinds of milk now without lactose. We have all kinds of milk now without lactose, so that's very, very good. So things are looking better there. Now, what do you think of your state? We've had a number of candidates on here, some trying to hold their seats, some trying to take them, because you got like 5 seats in New York that could make the difference, a majority control in the House.
Yeah, I agree. And we're actually, one of the things we're doing tonight and what we've been doing for the last few weeks, my district should be good. Our polling is strong. Because we've worked really hard. I'm a grassroots player. I went from a swing district to now having, a little bit more of a Republican district. But we're out doing phone banking right now for Mike Lawler, Mark Molinaro, Anthony D'Esposito down in Long Island, helping Brandon Williams, who is up in central New York. These are really tough districts. But, Mark, things are looking really good. You should see.
All right. I'm sorry. I can't have all this giddy, happy talk. I'm being honest. I don't mind till after the election we have giddy, happy talk. But before the election, I want people to know we haven't won yet. So things may be looking good, quote unquote. Hold on. I'm going to let you speak, but I got to speak. I remember 2022, all the happy talk, and it didn't happen. So I just want to make it clear about this program. I hope we win in landslides from sea to shining sea. We're not going to win in landslides if we're doing happy talk. I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying to my audience, if you haven't voted, vote. On election day, if early voting's over, vote. Act like you're behind. There's too much happy talk on my cable TV that I'm on, too much happy talk by other people. I'm all for happy talk, but happy talk after we win. Go ahead.
All right. I'm going to tell you the truth. In 2022, I said if we're going to be lucky to win the House of Representatives by 5 or 10 votes, and everyone's saying, oh, it's going to be 40 votes. I knew what they did to me in 2020. I knew the Republicans weren't on top of this issue at getting the votes out. I uncovered a couple weeks ago a scam coming out by one of the Democrat operative groups going in and doing pre-filled out mail-in ballots, sending them out to Democrats only under the guise of being a not-for-profit, direct violation of 501c3 laws. And so I turned them over to the IRS. So as election integrity co-chair and founder, I'm still going after election integrity problems in New York. We have mail-in ballot problems. All those things are out there, which is why I tell everyone, be vigilant. When I was running in 2020 in that tough race, we had, on average, if you had a room full of 16 election districts, you're supposed to have a Republican and a Democrat at each table. There was one Republican in an entire room with 16 districts. So this is what we've got to change. And again, it's not just the national party. It's the local parties. We have to have Republicans at the polls. You have to make sure they're not cheating. And, of course, you're seeing what's going on in Pennsylvania, right, already. We've got...
And, by the way, the Supreme Court in Pennsylvania is corrupt as hell. There's 7 members. 5 of them are radical Democrats, particularly the Chief Justice there. They keep changing the election laws. The Supreme Court, when it takes up these cases, it kicks them out because I'm sure Barrett, Roberts, and Kavanaugh are the 3. Kamala Harris is spending $1.2 billion, and she still won't tell you where she stands on a damn thing. But we know where she stands on everything, to the left of Bernie Sanders. She's a crackpot. A crackpot. She will destroy what's left of your free will. She will destroy your healthcare system. She will massively increase taxes. She wants a welfare tax, which is nothing more than stealing your land. Claudia Tenney knows this. She's got a lot of farmers and so forth in their wealth tax. Doesn't mean you're making money. They put the value of your property. They give it a certain amount. You have to pay taxes on it. If you don't, they take your property. It's like a property tax. So she wants to confiscate private property. She talks about the rule of law and the Constitution. I just went through with you last hour at least 7 areas of the Constitution that she wants to destroy, including the independence of the Supreme Court and the Electoral College and the rest of it. When it comes to the economy, she has no idea how to lower prices. She's the one who raised them. She has no idea how to lower inflation. She's the one that raised it. She has no idea how to create plentiful fuel. She's opposed to it. And I can go on and on. These things affect your lives directly. Your freedom, your lifestyle, your dinner table, your breakfast table, your kids, your grandkids, your ability. You know, America is the land of opportunity. Now, that doesn't mean we just have grocery prices that are good or reasonable energy price. The land of opportunity means you can do whatever you want, be whatever you want to be. And you can't be that under Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. They won't allow it. So, Claudia Tenney, in your district or anywhere in the country, do you think this Hitler campaign strategy, where there's Hitler behind every tree, behind every car, and by the way, the demeaning of the Jewish people, the demeaning of the people who suffered through the Holocaust, where they just so easily flip his name around like that, what do you make of all this?
It's horrific, and we obviously it's horrible. Where we have some of these colleges, Cornell University, where my father was a law school graduate, right around the corner from me, where we had this horrible Professor Rickford talking about the Hamas attacks on October 7th as exhilarating and inspiring. I actually wrote a letter to the Cornell University president immediately after that, calling for his resignation and firing. They put him on leave, but guess what? He is back teaching in school again. I was the only person who was on that letter, but it is terrible. I mean, it's terrible what's going on, offensive to the Jewish people. I know Holocaust survivors. There's a few of them that have spoken out finally. It is absolutely offensive that these very people, who, by the way, did nothing, stood by while Hamas and these activists were on campuses, did nothing, and now they call a wonderful, inspiring Trump rally, some kind of Nazi meeting of some kind. It's really just it's people with Trump derangement syndrome that can't handle what's going on. And the Democrats, I feel like this is an admission that you're losing and then it's over if you have to resort to this. But again, it's all going to come down to process, because the Democrats are working overtime, as you said, with corrupt courts in Pennsylvania and around the country to make sure that they can get the ballots in the box. Because once they get in the box, you can't take them out. That's why we have to prevent them from getting in the box in the first place.
So she's giving this speech. Very patriotic scenery, the American flag and the lights. And I can't see that it's too close in, whether it's the Capitol or the White House behind her, all beautifully lit up. And I'm thinking to myself, $1.2 billion. Can you please tell me, Congressman, what the hell has she done for the country? Just give me 2 things.
Absolutely nothing. Made it more dangerous, made it more scary. I can't think of anything. She to me is the worst candidate the Democrats have ever put out, probably the worst candidate in the modern era, maybe ever. And second being Joe Biden. I mean, these people they're not just bad candidates. They're dangerous. And when I look at the opportunity to put somebody like President Trump in, this is a person who vanquished the Bush dynasty, the Clinton dynasty, the Biden dynasty, the Cheney dynasty, the Obama dynasty. And now he's gone after the establishment in the Republican Party and the Democrats. If we can pull this off, we can finally put a stop to what could be irreversible damage if this dangerous woman and even this worst vice presidential nominee get into office. I really worry. My son is a major in the U.S. Marine Corps. I worry about the fate of our country, the dangerousness around the world. And I think it's great that Trump is reaching out to all kinds of people to try to build a coalition of people that stand for something. And that's what unifies us. We stand for freedom and human rights and self-governance, which is what we've been promised by our founders, if we can keep it.
And Claudia Tenney, by constantly calling Trump Hitler and his supporters Hitler and neo-Nazis, they don't seem to mind that they risk a future assassination attempts against Donald Trump. They don't seem to give a damn. It's funny, they always say, we got to tone it down, the rhetoric, we got to unite, and you MAGA guys and gals, the language that you use and so forth. I even heard some say, well, Trump's called her a fascist. Trump has never called her Hitler. I mean, that's different. Everybody knows what that means. Everybody knows what that triggers. And the idea that you can keep calling him that and his supporting neo-Nazis and your whole cultural establishment and Washington establishment all chip in on something like that. If she gets elected, God forbid, it's going to be she got elected on the Hitler campaign strategy?
Yeah, this is like the projection of the Democrats. Everything they do, they accuse you of, they're doing themselves. And this is what we're seeing. Look, the Democrats have always been vicious. I've had nearly $50 million spent against me on lies, smears, vicious attacks in the New York Times, the Washington Post, you name it, ads spent, talking about nonsense. All I am is a small business owner, former tax lawyer, mother of a Marine, Naval Academy graduate. My father was a Supreme Court justice. I mean, honorably serving. I've never even gotten a speeding ticket, Mark. And I was turned into a
monster. You beat me on that one.
By the Democrat vicious machine. And guess what the Democrats always do? They always attack us. And we finally have someone that's fighting back and is not, they don't reach across the aisle. I came from New York. I served in the New York legislature. You want to talk about a nightmare. Everything that we as New Yorkers face in that legislature, those people go on to Congress. They pass the terrible laws that the Biden administration signs into law that Kamala Harris is going to, try to project. When you talk about oppressive taxation and confiscation and high regulation, bad energy policy, all those things being done in New York, the incubator in New York is disastrous. We have the highest outmigration of any state in the nation. We have people who are leaving the state because they can't run their businesses. When you mentioned earlier, alluding to taking away or taxing the estate tax, that would close family farms up and down my region and small businesses. It would bankrupt them. You would have to sell your property, your machinery, your tractor in order just to pay the IRS and the New York State Tax Commission. This is confiscation. This is what I saw when I lived in the former Yugoslavia, a communist country. This is what they are trying to do to us. And I wish people would wake up. I know that they might not like Trump's personality. I wish they would go back and read our founding documents. Jefferson was a partisan. These people were tough. They weren't namby-pamby like we hear now that, you can't say anything bad. Trump stands up to them, and he tells the truth with a certain amount of clarity and simplicity that I think a lot of people really embrace, even if they don't like maybe the way he says things. I just really worry that we're going to have this nincompoop, I hate to say it, a nitwit. You say what you're, Kamala Harris embarrasses me. I wonder if she even passed the bar. How she did that in the state of California, it just amazes me. I hate to sound like I'm name calling, but she just has no redeeming quality.
Hell, that's her whole life is name calling. That's all she ever does is name call.
Yeah, name calling, phony, fake. I am totally offended by this. I wear a band on my wrist every day for a woman who was a mentor of mine who is a Holocaust survivor, and it said, "Thou shalt not be a bystander." And that's why I've always taken such a strong stand to support the Jewish people, to stand up to Iran. I've spent my time fighting Iran. I was talking to a wonderful Muslim supporter who loves Trump today, by the way, who said, "We have got to take Iran out. That's the only way we're going to have peace. Take that regime out. Let the people put their own regime in, their own democratic elected officials in Iran. It will relieve everyone in the Middle East and give us a chance at prosperity." But what are they doing right now? The Biden administration and Harris, they're empowering Iran all over again. Empowering them all over again.
Claudia, I'm going to have to run. You're fantastic. member of the House. You really have you're very solid in my view. And if people want to help you, particularly in your district, it's ClaudiaForCongress.com, ClaudiaForCongress.com. Oh, yeah, she is surrounded by jihadists and Iranian sympathizers. She is, this whole damn administration is. Claudia Tenney, thank you. God bless you, my friend.
Thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate it, and God bless you and your wonderful audience.
You too. You take care of yourself.